Not necessarily do you see the red flags at first, guys. You're kind of blinded by love. You're kind of blinded by the cocktail of hormones that your body releases. Love becomes a conscious choice, not your body dictating it for you. So this is the dangerous game. Being the highest frequency, meaning it is life-giving. Love equals God. God equals life. God is life. God is us, right? We are life existing in this body. I say this coming from somebody who has had this in their past. It can feel like love because I know that magnetism, that pull, that bond, it makes you go through a process of alchemy, because essentially it's the thing that brought you together, that magnetism that brought you together. Is there a universal energy of love? Yes, there probably is. I do believe so, and we call it God. What needs to happen in love? And what love should feel like in the body, if we want to go into the sciencey side of it, it's only ever your level of evolution that you understand love in a trauma bond. Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel, and hello if you are new. My name is Andrea Johnson. I am your mystical muse, your manifestation mind, your spiritual inspiration, here to inspire, empower, and teach you how to master your energy. So I wanted to expand on a video that I made earlier about how to understand if you were ready for a relationship or not. Some of you guys came back with questions on trauma bonds and that versus real love. So in this video, I'm going to give you context on how to tell the difference between a trauma bond and love. So let's dive in. I'm going to start off with just the science-y side of it and help lay the grounds in which humans can understand love, in which they are feeling in their body and their nervous system, and which we can understand how we like to assign love as life-giving. Therefore, when energy is life-giving, these are the signs that our body gives us. Most people think that they experience love until they experience a healthy love. And what I mean by this is most people are drawn together in the beginning by subconscious patterns, by patterns in which the body chooses based upon, we want to call it traumatic experiences as a child. And we call it traumatic experiences because at the time, it's the highest form of love in which we know. Not to say that at the time it's traumatic experiences, but truly, guys, it is in which the highest form of love that we know at the time, right? We're assigning love to this energy. So, therefore, we seek out partners with that same love, even though it might be chaotic energy, even though it might be controlling energy, based upon whatever traumatic thing happened to us as a child, right? You had a controlling parent, so therefore you associate controlling energy with love, so you will seek partners who try to control, right? That's an example right there. So insert XYZ, whatever had happened to you as a child between age 0 and 7 is essentially when the subconscious is blown wide open and you're being programmed. And what I mean by this is you cannot make the discernment of accepting or not accepting an idea as your own truth. Essentially, you're just surviving. You're relying on your parents, your environment, whoever is in your said field, your family, whatever, for survival. So you will do whatever it is that you need. You will morph yourself. You will accept whatever ideas. You will do what you are told. In order to survive, in order to feel loved, you will do whatever you have to do. Suppress yourself, suppress emotions, change yourself, suppress the authentic self is what we want to call it. You will stray from your authentic nature. You will suppress your soul in order to feel loved, to survive. That is what every human will go through, and we all do it subconsciously. And therefore, because we do this, we then develop our idea of love during this time. So when we have our idea of love, That is our truth. So in reality, guys, every human will have a different truth or idea or experience of what they feel like love is. Now, is there a universal energy of love? Yes, there probably is. I do believe so, and we call it God. However, everybody is experiencing their own level of love, their own experience with God, in whichever way they need to in the moment to be guided back to the highest form of love or home or whatever. Insert XYZ. So, in the grand scheme of it all, in this whole context of the video, love is going to be the highest form of vibration that you have experienced in the moment. And that comes from your life experiences. It comes from the level of work in which you do with yourself. It comes from your spiritual experiences and your connection with the Creator. It just comes from your journey here. Healing work, I say healing, I hate that word, the becoming of your soul here. However, which way it wants to choose to return back to source or remember itself. So we went a little bit beyond, so let's kind of reel it back and go more into the sciencey side of it. Unpack the understanding which us humans can assign logic in which the body responds to the vibration of love or to a higher vibration that is life-giving, that we like to say is love because it's empowering, because it's positive, because it is prolonging something, right? So therefore we want to head in that direction. Whereas a trauma bond is something that is taking life, it's draining, it is more of the lower level frequencies. It is something that, even though at the time might have been a higher frequency from where we were at before, so therefore it could have been love at the time. So think about that. Just think about it. You're just looking back at it and labeling it as trauma now because of the experience you had evolved you to then understand wisdom from your experience. If you did the healing work, to look back and say, oh, that was a trauma bond. But at the time, it was love because it was a higher frequency. So therefore, your soul followed it. And you will repeat the process. Only now, you can understand the process and you can consciously create with somebody else who understands the process. And therefore, you don't ever have to experience trauma bonds again. You can just choose to co-create together in love and evolve higher rather than go into a repetitive cycle of picking the same partners with trauma bonds, or maybe staying in the same kind of frequency of picking the same partners and never really evolving past that partner into a higher level of frequency. It's only ever your level of evolution that you understand love in a trauma bond. Let's dive into more of the physical signs of what your body interprets as a higher frequency of love, so then you can understand when you come into contact with somebody else with a frequency of your body resonating as safe, as feeling of a frequency of love, essentially, or maybe something that you're not even familiar with that is truly would be better for you, that you don't really necessarily understand and assign the logic of love to, because it is so different from the traumatic experiences that you have experienced as a child. So you want to then understand what is healthy for your body, so you can then shift your perception of love to something that is life-giving rather than something that is more chaotic and life-draining, or that is putting you into the fight or flight rather than slipping you into the parasympathetic nervous system. Because love being the highest frequency, meaning it is life-giving, love equals God, God equals life, God is life, God is us. Right, we are life existing in this body. So what healthy looks like in a human body, or feels like in a human body, what we like to identify as love, as a feeling in the human body, is a calm nervous system. It is our parasympathetic nervous system. It is consistent behavior. It is safe communication with somebody, feeling safe enough to express yourself, to express the way that you feel, and emotional openness and not suppressing your emotions. And you feel like you feel like your authenticity. You get to just be natural. You don't have to stress around somebody. You don't have to try to act or put on a mask. You can just be you and feel safe doing it, and know that you feel accepted doing it. The signs in which we have trauma bonds, it's when we feel that chaotic energy or that stress, or we feel the highs and the lows, the intense energies and the drops around somebody. You know, we have the hot and cold patterns, essentially, is what that is. We have the anxieties, we have the obsession, the obsessive thoughts about somebody. We have confusion around somebody. So if somebody is not, say, leading, or if somebody is confused in their own world, the soul will become confused. If there's chaos, if there's a push and pull type of energy, that means that, you know, somebody kind of comes into your energetic field and then they pull back, and then there's that game of cat and mouse. There's not just that divine, you know, masculine that comes in and just takes his woman, you know what I mean? And the woman accepts and receives. That's not there. And then the other sign is abandoning yourself, morphing yourself, suppressing yourself, shrinking yourself, changing yourself, or shifting your beliefs or your ideas or your core values in life in order to be liked or accepted, or in order for somebody to love you. Altering any of those things that's going to not be loved, that is behavior based upon a trauma bond. That's behavior based upon survival, essentially. You're doing something, an action, or that you basically did as a child in order to feel love. You're doing the same thing in your relationship. And it can be very, very confusing, guys, because I say this coming from somebody who has had this in their past. It can feel like love because I know that magnetism, that pull, that bond that pulls you towards somebody, that it feels that chemistry, the cocktail of hormones that happen. And this is where, you know, nothing happens by chance when people come into our reality, and how I really feel Spirit designed it like this, where that desire, that passion, that fire, that just the magnetism is there, and that is resonance of energy based upon, yes, your childhood of what you identify as love. So therefore it is love to you in the moment. But is it the healthiest for your body? Potentially, maybe in the moment it's bringing you up in vibration, and it might make you feel good in the moment, but over time, potentially not. Over time, you're going to see where the pain points are coming from, where the shadow starts to emerge, where the authentic soul is being suppressed. When the honeymoon phase ends and that chemistry wears off, you're gonna actually start to see where your truth lies and where you suppressed yourself to then fit the mold to be loved. This is why that magnetism feels so exciting. It feels like desire. It feels passionate. Most humans want to follow it because it is like the most exciting thing in their life. You know, it's hard not to go after it. It's hard not to make the relationship the pivotal thing in your life, because everybody's life is probably so freaking boring and mundane, right? So it's hard not to go after it and do that. Not necessarily do you see the red flags at first, guys. You're kind of blinded by love. You're kind of blinded by the cocktail of hormones that your body releases to feel good. And so therefore, it kind of traps you a little bit. But over time, that fades. Over time, your body gets either used to those hormones or it's desiring a higher level of those hormones to be released. And so therefore, you have to either do something different in the relationship, keep the spark alive, or say if you're caught in like a karmic loop or something like that of energy of like you're triggering one another with some kind of a pattern that's toxic to you, then you have to heal that if you're consciously aware of it, type of thing. So then you find yourself over time basically either in that karmic loop of healing some kind of childhood wound when the honeymoon phase fades off, or in the mundaneness of the relationship and you're just numb going through it. So either way, it takes two people to be consciously aware of what is going on in the relationship and to understand that it all begins and ends within them to make the shifts needed to evolve the relationships. And that's kind of where I was talking about in the beginning. You unconsciously come together by that magnetic draw most of the time. Most of the time, that's how people learn what love actually is and how to, all this healing, trauma bonds, all this stuff. That's most people how they get introduced to it. You subconsciously come together through love, trauma bonds, whatever you want to label it. It transforms you. It makes you go through a process of alchemy because essentially it's the thing that brought you together. That magnetism that brought you together was meant to transform you. Love is that fire that is meant to transform you. And so if you do the work and you understand yourself more, whatever kind of patterns that you identify, whatever kind of healing that needs to happen, choices that need to be made and to elevate you in vibration, whatever kind of childhood issues you have to work through to get rid of that energy to then evolve, doing it together as a team consciously can help you build and be stronger together rather than just either cutting ties and ending the relationship or repeating the process in a karmic loop. So you can come together unconsciously through that and learn and evolve. But to evolve, you have to become conscious. You then become conscious lovers. You then become conscious people. And then that becomes love. Love becomes a conscious choice, not your body dictating it for you. So this is the dangerous game. If you decide to split, you could fall back into patterns with your next partner. And that's where you will repeat and keep attracting the same partners, the same situations until you actually become consciously aware and work together to then build a better future together, to then do whatever it is that your souls came here to do together, to XYZ. That's what I truly feel like what needs to happen in love and what love should feel like in the body. If we want to go into the sciencey side of it, love should feel like a sense of home, a sense of peace, whatever regulates our parasympathetic nervous system, whatever helps us slip into that, whatever gives us life, because that is God, right? And whatever helps us be our authentic self, whatever helps us feel safe. If we're in a masculine and feminine dynamic here, when the woman feels safe, then she can be love, and then the man can receive the love, so then he can make her feel safe, and then we have that loop of energy going. But then I truly believe as well, the man has to feel safe too in his emotions around the woman to express himself in order to basically go out and protect. I truly do believe that. So the woman has to basically provide a sense of companionship and love and understanding and space for him to open up and feel safe enough to express emotions without the fear of being rejected, without the fear of, feeling weak or invulnerable, but he needs to feel empowered almost by coming to her and still feeling that love and that support with expressing of his emotions and his fears, and still feeling love to then go out and provide still and her hold that ground. So it's almost, to me, it feels like you're both playing almost the same role, because the woman has to feel safe, the man has to feel safe. The woman has to provide a sense of safety for the man, and the man also has to provide a sense of safety for the woman. I don't know, I could be smoking crack here. Anyway, it's truly just a conscious awareness, and it's a choice. Love is a choice every single day. You can only experience the love in which you've known in the moment. Like I said, we humans just like to identify love as something that is life-giving, and what is life-giving is what is regulating our nervous system. And so therefore we like to identify partners and habits and thoughts and emotions around whatever our body responds to the healthiest. So then that's what you want to look for in our partners, and what elevates you. When I say elevate, what makes you rise. And that's what they say too in love. Like, love is meant to expand you. Love is meant to elevate you, not suppress you. You don't fall in love, you elevate in love. You build together in love. And I do believe that. And that's why you have to find somebody with the same values, with the same goals, with the same kind of outlook in life. Like, that is extremely important. There has to be some form of, like, I say, a give and a take, or some form of like a give and a receive of, you know, a value that you give one another, that you find that you build one another up in some way. You help support one another and their goals and their life mission, or whatever it so may be. And I think that is actually one of the most important things in a relationship, is that you support the other person and their soul's mission. That your soul's mission has to be some kind of intertwinedness, or has to complement one another in a certain way to help. And I truly feel like if you find that, then that's what will tie a bond together the strongest, and that combined with being consciously aware. So then you can make the choices to stay that, or be aware of your patterns, and then improve, and then choose to improve together. And if you choose to improve together, like, you can just go, like, the sky is the limit. So anyway, I hope this video helps you guys. This is gonna be a bitch to edit, dear Lord. All right, well, it's getting late. Maybe I'm just tired. So sending you guys all my light, all my love. Satnam.